19th or Juneteenth, the official holiday marking the end of slavery in the United States. So, in commemoration, here's some background on how this day changed history. Every year on June 19th, people come together to celebrate the end of slavery in the United States. And you thought I was talking about the Emancipation Proclamation. No, this holiday is known as Juneteenth. On June 19th, 1865, Union soldiers led by Major General Gordon Granger arrived at Galveston, Texas, with the news that the war had ended and the enslaved were now free. By the way, the Emancipation Proclamation was in 1863. This was very late. Now, the term Juneteenth is a combination of June and 19th, and as of 2017, it is recognized as a holiday in 45 states as well as the District of Columbia. Now, Juneteenth celebrations traditionally include barbecues, but not just any barbecues, ones with uncles and Jesus sandals on the grill, seasoned potato salad, electric slide, dominoes or spades, lace fronts and wave caps, homemade mashed liquor, and generic sodas. Shasta is a favorite. Inspirational speakers focusing on education and self-improvement, musical performances, sporting events, and a host of other outdoor activities to bring communities together. Now, Juneteenth celebrations face a decline in popularity during the Jim Crow and Great Depression. Surprise. But they've seen a steady resurgence in the years afterwards. Now, traditional Juneteenth celebrations began to spring forth in major cities after the Poor People's March to Washington, D.C. in 1968. In the decades since, the holiday has continued to grow in popularity and is now celebrated all over the country. You can find out more about Juneteenth celebrations going on here in D.C. by visiting WUSA9.com. All right.
The history books have glorified Abraham Lincoln and the Emancipation Proclamation for freeing slaves. But if we're being real, it only applied to slaves who lived near Union lines, where they could flee his or her plantation or take advantage of opportunities in the North. Around 500,000 Black people managed to do this. These Black people freed themselves. Juneteenth, or June 19th, is a powerful moment in Black history, dating back to June 19, 1865, the day Union soldiers led by Major General Gordon Granger went into Galveston, Texas, with news that the Civil War was over and Texas's 250,000 slaves were now officially free. Yes! 1865? That's a whole 2.5 years after Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation. In those 2 years, Black people's newfound freedom was rejected by white people. But General Granger bossed up and issued an order to the people of Texas, proclaiming all slaves are free. This involves an absolute equality of personal rights and rights of property between former masters and slaves. And the connection heretofore existing between them becomes that between employer and hired labor. And Juneteenth was born, our Independence Day, our July 4th. Of course, it wasn't black and white like that. We weren't free. They just announced it. This new freedom sparked a violent backlash from white people. Surprise! Former Confederate soldiers, still in uniform and with guns, intimidated Black people, continuing a new form of slavery. They did this by murdering, lynching, and harassing the freed slaves. Hashtag Reconstruction era. But we are a resilient people. None of their intimidation tactics could stop our ancestors from accepting and celebrating their freedom. And they celebrated defiantly, because you know white people were hating. The first public Juneteenth event took place in 1866. Former slaves read the Emancipation Proclamation, something pretty gangster to do in the 1860s South. They also sang spirituals and played games. The freed men and women of Texas took their celebrations wherever they went. Los Angeles, Oakland, Seattle, Chicago, Virginia, you name it. By the 20th century, the Jim Crow laws were in full effect. Freedom started to feel like a foreign concept, and Juneteenth celebrations didn't happen as often. But the fight to freedom had to continue. The Poor People's March of 1968 brought new life into the holiday. In 1980, Texas recognized it as a state holiday. And in 1997, Congress recognized June 19th as Juneteenth Independence Day. It's been over 150 years since the first Juneteenth. Isn't it time Juneteenth became a national holiday? It could be the blackest holiday ever. Barbecues, music, dancing, a celebration of being free. free Black men and women. June 19th is not just about freedom, but the fight of our ancestors, the determination, and the consideration that one day their children, their children's children, and their children's children's children would be free.